Hi. I want to share 3 principles that are pivotal to Israeli innovation and that also help me on my personal journey. I will talk about the principle of Hutzpah, which translates as being daring, the principle of Tachles, which is let's do it approach, and Tikkun Olam, which means repairing the world. As I've been engaged in the sphere of diversity and women empowerment, I'll draw upon the examples from these 2 areas. I believe that using these 3 principles will help us to thrive in a world of relentless change. Agility, out-of-the-box thinking, creativity, innovation, all these have become a part of our everyday life. But what happens if you were born and raised in a way that you feel like you are lacking the innovation gene, the creative one, as it was my case? I never learned how to draw. This is okay, you can survive. But imagine then me getting into a corporate world and surviving dreadful hours of brainstorming because my idea was never that big, that creative, or that innovative. I approached my innovative friends and they told me, Linda, you know what? We might have creative ideas, but they usually end up in a drawer. Is there a formula to bridge these 2 seemingly opposite modes of thinking, innovation and implementation? And my search led me to Israel. Perhaps you are asking, what does a diversity expert have to say about innovation? A couple of years ago, I would actually ask the question myself. I graduated from international relations, and not in my wildest dream did I imagine that one day I would be appointed a member of the board of commercialization of one of the most prominent Czech universities. And so the area of primary and applied research has actually become a new topic of expertise of mine. And there is a personal reason. We all know that Israel has managed to transform itself from a country that was an exporter of oranges in 1950s into a startup nation of a new millennium. But actually, it started 20 years ago. I graduated from the Oxford Center of Hebrew and Jewish Studies. It was an incredibly enriching and learning experience, but at that time, we all doubted the practicability of our degree for our future careers. Little did I know that in 20 years, I would organize the first women entrepreneurial mission to Israel myself. Well, life has its special ways. And in the same vein, not all of us can be born to Israeli mothers that are known for being pushy and ambitious with regards to their children's career. Not all of us can go and serve in the Israeli army, particularly in the 8200 unit that is known for special training and network. These 2 factors that are often cited as critical and crucial for the Israeli innovation ecosystem, they are beyond our reach. But what is within our reach is the mindset. I called myself academic, practical academic, so I believe there is nothing actually more useful than a good theory. So let me give you a definition of innovation. Professor Simon Litzin, the founder of USB flash stick and a holder of more than 60 patents, says that innovation includes the development, production, and implementation of an idea. So you see, innovation is not one event only. It starts with creativity, but execution must follow. And as each and every process, it requires persistence. For the first stage of innovation, I believe we need to have Hutzpah attitude. Hutzpah word originally comes from Yiddish. It means audacious, bold. and sometimes it has even a slightly negative connotation. In a nowadays entrepreneurial language, it is described as someone who views failure as a learning, who dares to risk, who is seeing the opportunities instead of a problem. This is Hutzpah, constantly challenging status quo, not by whining and complaining, but by presenting better and new ideas, not by following the old rules of the game, but rather creating a game of their own. With Hutzpah, I have high hopes from the generations of millennials. I see and I appreciate you constantly challenging status quo in areas like climate change, consumption patterns, or even work-life balance. A good example of Hutzpah behavior is my 15-year-old daughter Lada, who tells me that sometimes I should stick to principles I have taught her. She particularly enjoys saying, "Mom, you're not like a chocolate bar to be liked by everyone," whenever I get overwhelmed by too many conflict-winning requests. But chutzpah enough is not sufficient for development of an idea. Chutzpah needs to be accompanied by diversity. It is Israel with its immigration from more than 130 countries that actually makes up for this country's success. What an amazing pool of experience, background, education, ideas. But what can we, coming from less heterogeneous country, do? How can we make up for diversity? I'll give you some tips. And if you think that talking about diversity in 2019 is a bit outdated, then have a look at this picture. You can see Prime Minister of the Czech Republic, the Ministry of Health, and other men opening a new birth center for women. Obviously, no one from their respective teams had enough of chutzpah to tell them that 7 men and no woman on this occasion is not actually a good idea. But let us go back to chutzpah and you being brave. Think of your grandma. Would you want her on your innovation team? This is diversity that we have at hand. 4-generation diversity at the workplace, and we still have not learned how to handle it. Another diversity that is easily accessible. Cities and villages. Do really people from cities understand the needs and concerns of people from villages? And do people from villages look at people from cities and particular capital in other than condescending manner? So, my appeal to all of us is, let us be chutzpah. Let us go way out of our comfortable social bubbles to get not only the best ideas, but also to make sure that every suggested solution fits the particular target group. Let me now to get to the second principle, the principle of tachles, which stands for let's do it approach. Community projects, grassroots activities, prototype early and fail well approach. All these are tachles. Let's do it. Do not wait for the government funding. Do not wait for the subsidies. Start small and improve continuously. Prove your concept. I think me organizing the first women entrepreneurial mission was exactly tachles. Why? I inquired in the nature of mission and I realized that there were 2 patterns. Number 1, usually men were taking men to talk to other men. And the second, during the entrepreneurial missions organized by state, they were discussing 20th century subjects, such as heavy industry, construction buildings, automotive, and so on. I want to do something different. I wanted to have men and women talking to men and women. I wanted to concentrate on education, on the future of society, on social entrepreneurship. I wanted to visit accelerators and incubators. So, without any further financial assistance or subsidies. I just took 23 women and 1 man, and off we went to Israel. For the Tachlis approach. Tachlis was also the response of Israeli startup scene to Mrs. Merkel's official visit. Probably you'll be surprised that the official photo looked like this. Even Mrs. Merkel herself commented, it would be nice to have a woman present in the room. What was the Tachlis response? No petitions, no whining, no complaining. Thanks to social media, the representatives of Israeli startup scene gathered at the Rabin Square. They brought out a cutout portrait of Mrs. Merkel, as she was already gone, and they took another picture, presenting the reality as it is. What we can see men and women alike. We can see different generations, and we can see Jews and Arabs working together. Now let me get to the last principle, which is Tikkun Olam, the one I like the most, because it translates as repairing the world. I have the parallel with social entrepreneurship. Think about the impact, and then the execution will follow. Israel, by its definition, is a small country. So all the projects have to start with the global outreach in the beginning. But the most successful projects are not the ones that satisfy customers' needs, but the ones that make a world a better place. A device that helps blind people to see and read. A device that helps paraplegics to stand upright or walk. A device that makes the whole automotive industry safer. Or a device that, thanks to artificial intelligence and big data, designs a better prevention schemes for civilization diseases. All these were designed not only to serve customers' needs, but to make the world a better place. My Tikkun Olam project is to bring kids and teenagers from this region to Israel for summer camp, so they can experience the exposure to entrepreneurship connected with technologies from the very early age. I walked you through 3 principles of Israeli innovation. We discussed Hutzpah, Tachlis, and Tikkun Olam that will hopefully help you during the whole innovation process. So from now on, we will not only be dreaming, but we'll also be executing and implementing our ideas. And I wish that while doing this, we'll all help the repairing the world concept on our minds. But one last word. Whatever you do, make sure you enjoy that and you have fun. Because joy is a prerequisite of creativity. Make the journey truly yours. As Professor Leora Katzenstein said, it's better to be a happy clown than a frustrated nuclear scientist.